The rain hammered against my windshield as I drove down the deserted highway at 11 p.m. My headlights cutting through the darkness like silver knives. I was exhausted from a 14-hour shift at the factory, my back aching and my mind foggy with fatigue. All I wanted was to get home to my small apartment, heat up some leftover pizza, and collapse into bed. That's when I saw him. A figure hunched over the hood of a broken-down Mercedes, rain soaking through his expensive-looking suit. Steam rose from the engine like ghostly fingers, and hazard lights blinked desperately in the storm. Something inside me stirred. Maybe it was my father's voice, echoing from childhood. Son, we help people because that's what makes us human. I could have easily driven past. I was tired. Wet weather made me cranky. And honestly, the guy looked like he could afford a tow truck. But as I got closer, I saw something that made me pull over. He was shivering uncontrollably, and his expensive suit was now a soggy mess that clung to his thin frame. I grabbed my umbrella and toolkit from the trunk, remnants from my days helping my dad fix neighborhood cars when money was tight. "Hey there," I called out, jogging toward him. "Car trouble." The man looked up, and I was surprised to see he was probably in his 60s, with kind eyes that held a mixture of frustration and embarrassment. "I'm afraid so," he said, with a slight accent I couldn't place. "I'm not very mechanical, and my phone died an hour ago. I've been standing here hoping someone would stop." "Well, you're in luck," I said, positioning my umbrella over both of us. "Let me take a look." As I examined the engine, the man introduced himself as Victor. He explained he was driving back from a business dinner when his car started overheating. The problem was immediately clear. A burst radiator hose was spraying coolant everywhere. "Good news is, it's fixable," I told him. "Bad news is, we need to get some coolant and a temporary hose. There's a 24-hour gas station about 2 miles back." Victor's face fell. "In this weather. And it's so late. Don't worry about it," I heard myself saying. "I'll drive back and get what we need. You wait in your car where it's dry." The gas station attendant looked at me like I was crazy when I walked in, dripping wet, asking for radiator fluid and emergency hose repair kit at nearly midnight. $25 later, money I honestly could unspare from my tight budget, I was driving back through the storm. For the next hour, I worked under Victor's car in the pouring rain, my clothes completely soaked, hands numb with cold. Victor held a flashlight and my umbrella, apologizing every few minutes for the inconvenience. "Why are you doing this?" he asked at one point. "You don't even know me." I paused, wiping rain from my eyes. My dad always said that kindness is like a boomerang. It comes back when you least expect it, but need it most. I smiled. Besides, we're all just people trying to get home, right? When I finally got his car running again, Victor was almost in tears. "How can I ever repay you? Please, let me give you money for your time, for the parts." I shook my head. "Just pay it forward, man. Help someone else when they need it." Victor insisted on taking my contact information in case his mechanic needed to know what I'd done. I gave him my number, thinking I'd never hear from him again. 3 days later, my phone rang. "Hello, is this Marcus?" The accented voice was familiar. "Victor, how's the car running?" "It's perfectly, thanks to you. But I'm calling about something else. Keys. I need to ask you something important. Are you happy with your current job?" I laughed nervously. "It pays the bills." "Why?" "I did some thinking after our encounter. You showed incredible character that night. Problem-solving skills, dedication, kindness. I'd like to offer you an opportunity." It turned out Victor wasn't just any businessman. He was the CEO of a major automotive company, and he'd been so impressed by my mechanical skills and character that he wanted to offer me a position as a senior technician, with full benefits, training, and a salary nearly double what I was making. "But you don't know anything about my experience," I protested. "I know everything I need to know. I watched you work in impossible conditions to help a stranger." That tells me more about your character than any resume ever could. 6 months later, I was not only working my dream job, but had been promoted to head of the training department. Victor became more than a boss. He became a mentor and friend. He told me that night on the highway had reminded him why he started his company, to help people. But the story doesn't end there. One evening after work, I was driving through the same area where I met Victor when I saw a young woman with a flat tire, rain beginning to fall. Without hesitation, I pulled over. As I helped her change the tire, she asked, "Why are you stopping to help me?" I smiled, remembering Victor's words and my father's lesson. "Because kindness is like a boomerang," I said. "And because we're all just people trying to get home." Later, I learned that young woman was a nursing student who'd been on her way to a job interview. Because I'd helped her arrive on time, she got the position at the Children's Hospital, her dream job. She called me a month later to tell me she'd helped an elderly man who'd fallen at a bus stop, staying with him until paramedics arrived. He turned out to be a retired teacher who dedicated his life to helping underprivileged kids. Inspired by her kindness, he decided to volunteer at the hospital where she worked. That's when I truly understood what my father meant about kindness being a boomerang. It doesn't just come back to you, it multiplies, creating ripples of goodness that touch lives in ways you might never know. Today, Victor and I have started a roadside assistance program for people who can't afford tow trucks. We call it Highway Angels, and it's staffed by volunteers who understand that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. Every time I drive past that spot on the highway, I'm reminded that we never know when we'll have the chance to be someone's angel. The question isn't whether we have time to help, it's whether we have the heart to stop. That rainy night taught me that helping others isn't just about fixing their problems. It's about fixing something in ourselves, something that connects us all as human beings. And sometimes, when we think we're just helping a stranger fix their car, we end up fixing our entire future. The reward that followed wasn't just the job, the promotion, or even the friendship with Victor. The real reward was discovering that in a world that can feel cold and disconnected, warmth still exists in the simple act of one person helping another. And it all started with choosing to stop, to care, and to get a little wet in the rain. Like and subscribe for more videos.